The forest is silent, save for the whispers of leaves rustling gently in the breeze. The Buddha sits beneath the sal tree, his presence calm and still like the mountain itself. His disciples gather around him, their eyes filled with reverence and curiosity. The Buddha speaks, his voice soft yet commanding, carrying a truth that resonates in every heart present. What binds us to suffering? He asks, his gaze sweeping across the circle of disciples. Why do we cling to what causes pain, when release offers peace? Ananda, the most devoted of the disciples, bows his head in thought before replying. Master, is suffering not born of desire and attachment? His voice carries both conviction and uncertainty. The Buddha nods slightly, approving of Ananda's insight. Indeed, desire fuels the fire of suffering. Attachment chains the soul to impermanence, to fleeting moments, to illusions of permanence. Master, another disciple ventures. How does one free oneself from the grasp of attachment, when it feels so natural to hold on? The Buddha raises his hand, gesturing to the earth beneath them. Look at the ground where you sit. Do the leaves hold themselves to the branch when autumn arrives? They do not, the disciple answers, his voice quiet with realization. Why? The Buddha probes gently. Because it is nature's way. They fall when their time has come. The Buddha's expression is serene, his eyes gleaming with understanding. We too must learn from the leaves. Nothing is to be held, for what exists is ephemeral. Ananda speaks again, seeking further clarity. Master, does this mean we are to abandon all we cherish? Even love, even joy? Not abandonment. Ananda, the Buddha corrects. Acceptance of impermanence does not mean rejection. It means embracing the flow, without grasping for permanence. How does one embrace without grasping? Master? Another disciple asks. The Buddha turns his gaze to the horizon, where the sun dips low, casting a golden glow upon the world. Observe the sun. It rises, it sets, yet we do not cling to its light. We appreciate its presence, knowing it must leave. Ananda nods, his heart swelling with understanding. Master, you mean that love, joy, even pain, are to be lived, not possessed? Yes. Ananda, to live fully is to release the need to hold. What is eternal cannot be grasped. The disciples fall silent, their minds reflecting upon the wisdom imparted to them. Master, the eldest disciple finally speaks. If we release all that we hold, what remains to give our lives meaning? The Buddha smiles, his eyes softening with compassion. What remains is freedom. What remains is the present moment, unclouded by fear or longing. He pauses, allowing his words to settle, then continues. Meaning is not found in what we hold. It is found in the act of being. Unburdened by illusion, the disciples exchange glances, the weight of their burdens easing as the truth permeates their hearts. Master, Ananda says, if one lets go, does one not fear losing what one cherishes? The Buddha closes his eyes briefly, meditating on Ananda's question before answering. Fear arises from the belief that loss diminishes us. But loss is the nature of all things. Nothing truly remains. Then how does one overcome fear? Master? The Buddha gestures toward the stream that flows nearby, its waters babbling softly. Does the stream fear the rocks that disrupt its flow? Number. Master, Ananda answers. Why? The Buddha asks. Because the stream moves onward, flowing with nature's course. Precisely, the Buddha affirms, fear is resistance to impermanence. To overcome fear is to embrace the natural rhythm of existence. Ananda bows his head, his heart lightened by the understanding now blossoming within him. Master, another disciple asks, when we release all that binds us, what path do we follow? How do we find our way? The Buddha's smile is gentle yet profound. The path is not found in holding or possessing. It is found within, In the clarity of release, the disciples sit in silence, the teachings resonating deeply within them. Let go, the Buddha says, his voice resonating with unwavering truth. Let go of the stones you carry, and you shall walk freely upon the path of peace. As the evening turns to night, the disciples remain gathered, reflecting upon the wisdom imparted by their master, the Buddha. In their hearts, a new light begins to shine, a light unburdened by the weight of attachment, illuminated by the freedom of release. Another day, another dawn, and the Buddha walked among the forest paths, his presence like a calm river flowing endlessly. He reached a serene clearing, where his disciples awaited, seated on the soft grass under a canopy of trees. The morning air carried a sense of tranquility, yet within the hearts of those present, questions stirred like restless waves. A villager approached the Buddha, his face pale with worry and his voice trembling. Master, I am plagued by fears. The disciples turned their attention toward the man, sensing the weight of his unease as he continued to speak. I fear the storms that ruin my fields. I fear the sickness that comes for my family. I fear death. The Buddha listened, his serene gaze fixed gently on the man, his silence deep and unbroken until he spoke. What is fear but the shadow cast by the unknown? Do you fear the sun when it sets each evening? The villager hesitated, his thoughts uncertain. No, Master, I do not fear the sun's setting, for I know it shall rise again. The Buddha nodded, his expression unwavering. Fear arises when the mind resists what it does not comprehend. It clings to certainty in an uncertain world. He gestured toward the flowing river nearby, its water shimmering in the morning light. Does the river fear the stones that obstruct its flow? The villager glanced at the river, its current winding effortlessly around rocks and roots. No, Master, he answered softly. The river moves onward, undisturbed by what lies in its path. The Buddha's voice carried the wisdom of ages as he replied, fear is the resistance that binds the soul. To overcome it is to flow like the river. The disciples nodded, their minds absorbing the truth, yet their hearts seeking further clarity. A young disciple, his brow furrowed with thought, raised his hand. Master, how does one embrace the unknown without fear? How does one let go of the need for control? The Buddha turned his gaze toward the disciple, his eyes reflecting infinite compassion. Imagine a bird perched on the highest branch of a tree, swaying with the wind. He paused, allowing the imagery to settle within their minds. Does the bird fear the branch will break? The disciple pondered the question, then replied, No, Master, the bird does not fear, for it knows it has wings to fly. The Buddha smiled, his serenity like the first light of dawn. Exactly so. Trust in the wings of your spirit, which carry you beyond fear's reach. The disciples exchanged glances, their understanding deepening like the roots of the trees that surrounded them. The villager, still standing with his hands clasped, spoke again. Master, what of the fear of losing those we love? How does one bear such a loss? The Buddha's gaze softened, and he turned his face toward the horizon where the sun began its ascent. Does the sun mourn the moon when it disappears from the sky? Does the moon grieve when the stars fade? The villager's voice trembled as he answered, No, Master, they do not mourn, for each knows its time will come again. The Buddha's voice was steady, like the flow of an eternal river. Love is not diminished by loss, for love exists beyond the confines of time and form. He looked toward his disciples, his words carrying the weight of truth. To fear loss is to resist the rhythm of life. Embrace each moment fully, knowing it is impermanent. Another disciple, one whose heart had long carried the burden of sorrow, spoke with a voice heavy with emotion. Master, does this mean we are to accept even the most painful of losses without question or resistance? The Buddha stepped closer to the disciple, his presence like a balm to a wounded soul. Acceptance does not mean the absence of pain. It means the absence of struggle against what is. He gestured to the sky above, where clouds drifted effortlessly, unbound by direction or destination. Do the clouds fight against the wind that carries them? Or do they move with its flow? They move with the wind. Master, the disciple replied, his voice soft with realization. Exactly so, the Buddha said, his tone gentle yet firm. To move with the flow of life is to transcend the fear of loss and change. The disciples bowed their heads, the wisdom settling within their hearts like seeds planted in fertile soil. The villager, his face now lighter with understanding, asked one final question. Master, how can I live without fear when the world is filled with so much uncertainty? The Buddha extended his hand toward a single blade of grass, bending under the weight of morning dew. Does this blade of grass fear the wind, the rain, the sun, or the passing of time? The villager shook his head slowly. No, Master, it does not fear, for it simply exists as it is. The Buddha's voice carried the stillness of eternity as he replied, be like the blade of grass, live in the present moment, free from the grip of fear. He looked at each disciple in turn, his gaze holding the depth of the cosmos. There is nothing to fear when the soul embraces the impermanence of all things. The sun climbed higher into the sky, casting its light upon the gathering, illuminating their faces with its golden glow. The villager bowed deeply before the Buddha, his heart unburdened, his soul touched by the wisdom of the moment. The disciples sat in silence, their hearts filled with gratitude and their minds alight with clarity. The Buddha's words echoed within them, like a mantra etched into the fabric of their being. As the day unfolded, the disciples carried the teachings of fearlessness within them, like a flame that could not be extinguished. The forest, too, seemed to breathe with a renewed sense of peace, as if it too had been touched by the Buddha's wisdom. In their hearts, the disciples knew they had been given a gift, a truth that would guide them through the ebb and flow of life. The Buddha, ever calm and serene, rose to his feet, his presence like the stillness before a storm. The day continued, and the teachings of the Buddha lived on, resonating in the hearts of all who heard them. Fear was but a shadow, dissolved by the light of understanding, leaving only the infinite peace of the present moment. Another day, another journey, and the Buddha traversed the foothills, his footsteps steady, his disciples walking quietly behind him. The air carried the faint aroma of blooming flowers, and the distant sound of a flowing stream added to the serenity. As they walked, a farmer approached, his face weathered with age and burdened by sorrow. Master, the farmer began, his voice heavy with despair, I am shackled by duties that leave no room for joy. The disciples stopped, their attention turning to the man who bowed low before the Buddha, seeking solace in his presence. The Buddha regarded the farmer with a gaze filled with compassion and understanding. What is this prison you speak of? He asked. Is it made of stone and iron? Or does it exist only within your heart? The farmer looked down, his hands trembling. My tasks, my responsibilities, they bind me, Master. I labor endlessly, yet freedom feels like a distant dream. The Buddha nodded, his expression serene. Imagine a bird, he said, born within a cage. It sees the sky but does not attempt to fly. The farmer frowned, his eyes reflecting both confusion and curiosity. Why, Master? Why does the bird not leave the cage when the sky is open before it? Because, the Buddha replied, it believes the cage defines its existence. It does not know the sky is its true home. The disciples listened intently, their minds turning over the parable, seeking the deeper truth within the Buddha's words. One disciple, bold with curiosity, asked, Master, how does one escape a cage that feels so real, so unyielding? The Buddha's gaze turned to the distant horizon, where the mountains met the sky. Freedom begins, he said, when one realizes the cage is an illusion. The door has always been open. The farmer's eyes filled with tears, his voice trembling with emotion. Master, how can I see the open door when my life is consumed by toil and struggle? The Buddha gestured to the stream that flowed nearby, its waters clear and unbroken as they danced over rocks and roots. Does the stream lament the obstacles in its path, or does it find its way around them, flowing ever onward? The farmer wiped his eyes, his voice soft with realization. The stream moves forward, Master. It does not stop or fight against what lies in its path. Exactly so, the Buddha affirmed. Freedom is not the absence of responsibility, but the absence of resistance to life's flow. Another disciple, who had long struggled with feelings of confinement, spoke up. Master, what of those who fear the unknown beyond the cage? How does one overcome such fear? The Buddha turned to the disciple, his voice gentle yet profound. Fear binds the soul as tightly as any chain. To transcend it, one must trust in the wings of courage. Courage, the disciple repeated, his voice thoughtful. But what if the wings feel weak, untested, unable to bear the weight of flight? The Buddha's expression remained serene. A bird does not question its wings before it takes flight. It leaps, and in leaping, it discovers its strength. The disciples nodded, their hearts swelling with the truth of the Buddha's words, their fears easing like mist dissipating under the morning sun. The farmer, his face now lighter, asked another question. Master, if freedom is within us, why do so many remain trapped, unable to see the truth? The Buddha looked at the farmer, his gaze deep and unwavering. Because the mind clings to what it knows, even when it causes suffering. It fears the uncertainty of liberation. He paused, allowing his words to settle, then continued. But liberation is not a distant goal. It is the state of being unbound. Here and now, a young disciple, eager to understand, asked, Master, if liberation is here and now, why does it feel so difficult to attain? The Buddha smiled gently, because the mind seeks what the heart already knows. Liberation is not attained, it is realized when the seeking stops. The disciples sat in silence, their minds turning inward, their hearts resonating with the simplicity and depth of the Buddha's teaching. The farmer bowed deeply, his voice filled with gratitude. Master, your words have lifted a weight from my soul. I see now that the prison is of my making. The Buddha placed a hand on the farmer's shoulder, his touch light yet grounding. The key to freedom is in your hand. Let go of the illusion, and you shall walk unbound. As the farmer departed, his steps lighter than before, the disciples remained, their hearts filled with reverence for the truth they had witnessed. The Buddha stood, his presence a testament to the boundless nature of the human spirit. Remember, he said, addressing his disciples, freedom is not given, it is discovered within. It requires nothing to hold and nothing to fear. The sun began its descent, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson. As the Buddha and his disciples resumed their journey, the teachings of the day lingered in their hearts, like a flame that burned brightly, illuminating the path ahead. And so, the message of liberation continued to echo through the hills and valleys, touching all who heard it, guiding them toward a life unbound by illusion, a life awakened to the infinite freedom of being. Remember, he said, the river does not separate soft eyes from open hands. It carries both within its flow. His gaze met mine, filled with unwavering faith, as though he already saw the transformation within me. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.